Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them how this talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them how this talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and the host of Real Conversations with Michelle, coming to you with a very special episode. This is my second anniversary episode, you guys, and I have a very special group of friends joining me, and I'll tell you a little bit about the episode in 1 minute. I just want to get a couple of things out the way. So for those of you who are new to my platform, I leverage this platform to talk about a variety of topics with the goal that something is shared, you'll be able to apply in a positive way for yourself. Like anything else, because this is educational, make sure you're doing your homework so that you can ensure that whatever you're doing really is going to work for you and it is really right for you. So that being said, this topic is about the power of friendships. And this year, y'all, has been a challenging year for me personally. And let me tell you, when I tell you that these individuals who I am bringing on tonight have been such a great support system to me, it is just one of those things that I've been blessed to have. And we're gonna have a real conversation about the power of friendships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think it's something that we all can benefit from. As you know, friendships can make us or break us. So be careful who you have in your circle. But I can tell you, these individuals here, as I mentioned before, have been some great people. So I'm going to bring them up one by one to introduce themselves. And they don't know what order I'm using here. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to do ladies first. So first up, hey, Mo. Take yourself off.
Hello,
Hey.
everybody.
Hey, Mo. How are you?
I am wonderful, excellent, and excited to be here with you.
Yes. And tell the audience about our relationship. How did we meet, Monique?
We met in high school. The best day ever. I met Michelle. We both were some awkward kids coming into Murray Bertram.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to find our way through. And she became my best friend, my sister girl. We applied for colleges and didn't know we were applying to the same college.
I know. Isn't that silly? I mean, when I think about that now, I'm just like, we're talking about spending the night at each other's houses, friends, right?
Yeah.
And we never talked about the college thing, which was funny. And then we end up showing up. I'm like, back then we could have selected each other as roommates and we didn't, but we still had a good time.
Yes, we did.
And I'm so glad that you are back into my life on a regular basis now.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that in a few moments as well. So thank you, Monique, for joining me. Next up, I have Pat. Hey, Pat. Patricia. Take yourself off your mute, Patricia.
Hi.
Hey. My sorority sister, my soror. So yes. Tell everybody, of course, we met through the sorority, and it's been, because I pledged
about 35, a little over 35 years. Yeah.
35 years.
Over 30, yes.
Exactly. And I remember meeting you, Pat, because it was after you had went over, and because I had left Buffalo University at that point in time. Mm-hmm. But I remember meeting you, and there was just a great connection back then. Your whole line, it was just like I had a great connection with y'all.
Yes,
I don't know if you felt that as well.
Yes, definitely I did, as I said, and that's why, anything that I have you down as someone who's always ready to get things moving. So yes. I was truly we have been connected all through these years, for one thing or another,
Yes.
through Delta. So that
Yeah.
has been really, really been meaningful for me.
Yeah, and you are definitely a very special person in my life. So I'm glad that you are
Thank
here.
you. Likewise.
Next up, I have my sister Greek friend, Miss Adea.
Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
hey,
this is
everybody.
Adea, Dr. Adea White Johnson. Yes, ma'am.
That is
Yes,
me.
and Adea, y'all, I know y'all have seen her because I know she's been on 3 or 4 of my episodes talking about a variety of things.
Mhm.
Adea, talk about our bond from your eyes.
I think we became friends, even though we traveled in a lot of the same circles. I think maybe I came in right before you were leaving for school at
Yeah.
school, but we still have many of the same friends. But I think we connected in planning our reunion, like the first one, like 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Saying somehow we just clicked. It was like magnets, and whereas we may not have been friends in undergrad, but certainly as adults we have mutual interests, and it just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought the same thing, Adair, because we definitely I knew of you back then, but we were not because I know I pledged in 82 and you pledged when did you pledge? Just a
84.
84, yeah. So I remember coming back for a reunion and I remember seeing you. But like you said, our bond really started after we pledged our first
Mm-hmm.
reunion. And
Mm-hmm.
y'all, she and I have been going strong with reunion planning and stuff like that. And someone who I would not have you on my episodes if I didn't trust you. I'm ready to tear up already. This episode is
Oh
starting
boy.
already tearing up. But yeah, it just is that special bond that we have. So I
Yeah, and
appreciate you.
yeah, I appreciate you as well. Thank you.
Next up, Miss Joanne.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Miss Joanne.
Hey.
Talk
So,
about our connection, Joanne.
so I remember we met in my freshman year in 1981 when we both were Q sweethearts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yep. So I have some memories from there, and then just also just being on campus together,
Yeah,
just at various parties and just events.
yeah.
And then also hooking up with the reunion, the BACN. So yeah,
Yes, yes, and again, I think our bond is funny because a lot of us, I mean, we had that connection as Q sweethearts, of course, helping one of our brothers who's going to be on here as well,
yep,
um, and just continued that bond, and we really got stronger. I think all of us got stronger with the reunions, right? Just connecting, and these last 2.5 years, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I know my promotional video I was talking about. I mean, we have been going strong every week. This group of individuals, y'all, for the last 2.5 years, and that's it's just brought us closer together on so many levels. So next
that's
up, I'm
right.
gonna introduce my male friends in the bunch. So William, I'll bring you up first. Hey, William.
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Hey.
I had to think about it, and I know you don't remember when we first met. We
Go
met
ahead.
at a Sigma party. I just got finished stepping. You was talking to this brother named Will Coleman, and he introduced me to you. And you had this
Wow.
asymmetrical haircut. Yes,
You
like
going
salt and
way back.
pepper, going
Yes.
way back. And
Yes.
that's when we first met.
I don't. You know what, William? I don't remember that. Now
I
you
said, you
bringing some
probably ain't
stuff
gonna
way
remember
back.
that.
I
Back in
know. I
Fargo at
know.
one of those parties
Yes.
on the
Yes. And
first floor, I
yeah.
had to think about it, and I was like, yes.
And I see
And
Will is on. Hey, Will.
oh
Thank you for
wow,
supporting. Yeah, he's
okay.
joined. Yeah.
And
Cool.
it's just a full circle. And then Michelle reached out to me on the second reunion, and from there, I've been following her, and she follows me. And in the last 2 years, we have really bonded spiritually, and we've been very open and honest with each other and vulnerable.
Yes.
And it has definitely, and then it goes to prove that you don't have to have a constant physical relationship with someone, male or female, and still have a bond. And it doesn't
Exactly.
even have to be in the same location and still
Absolutely.
bond.
Absolutely. Because we are all over the place. So I'm in North
Yes,
Carolina. Adea's in Atlanta.
I'm in
Joanne, you're in,
Atlanta.
yeah. Joanne, where are you
I-
located?
I'm in Maryland.
You're in Maryland.
Yep.
Monique's in Jersey. Trisha's in Jersey. Cool, cool, cool. And next I'm gonna bring up Brother Andre. Hey, Andre, you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here. I'm
Hey,
here. How's everybody this evening?
good,
Good,
Andre.
good. So,
So,
yeah, how we met. So, it's funny because I remember seeing you as an undergrad. I remember when I was, when you first come in and you just look to the older people, around campus and stuff. And I think you might have left, but I remember seeing you come back, specifically because your Sand, your line sister Dominique,
yes.
she was my orientation aide when I came in as a freshman. And so
Okay.
Dominique was one of those people who I knew and I talked to. She, one of those older people that I looked up to. So I don't know if it was sometime when you came back when
It probably was because
but
I used to come back for our chapter used to have cutie pie contests and
right.
things like that. So I was always coming back
But
to
I
support the
definitely
chapter.
remember seeing you. Now, I don't
Yeah.
think we ever really met during undergrad. I don't think I really got to meet you until the first reunion back in 2008, which
Yes.
is what 14 years ago now. And
Ooh-wee.
that's when you and I really started a bond, and all the subsequent reunions, and then of course over the course of the last 2 years, we've really got to bond. But of course, we all have that mutual, thing of, being connected by Buffalo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Y'all are bringing back some memories because some of this stuff I don't remember. I'm serious. I'm like, ooh, we. And look, Andre, we ain't that old. He talking about the older people. I'm like, what the? We ain't that much older, Andre. Don't go there.
makes me feel good.
I know. I'm like, dude. Okay. I'm gonna bring up Jeff. I'm waiting on Trisha. You might need to tag your other sister. She ain't get on yet, but we'll see. Hopefully she'll join us soon. And I hope she's not waiting on the other link. But Jeff.
My people, my people, my people, my peoples.
Hey, Jeff.
How's everyone doing?
Doing great, Jeff.
Great.
Hey, Jeff.
Great, Jeff. Go ahead and embarrass me, Jeff. Go ahead.
Well, no, I won't. I'll just leave it at the fact that Michelle was one of my Lamb Court sweethearts. I'll leave it right there.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all figure out the rest.
Yeah.
But Joanne, I remember Joanne before I even pledged, and I'll let her tell that story later on.
Yeah.
Let her tell
That's a good story.
And everyone on this line, friendships, this whole BACN, for those who are listening and do not know, Michelle established the BACN network prayer call during COVID. And it has redefined friendship, reframed it for me. People who didn't know each other developed into friends. When I look up, I took the time while I was waiting here looking up the purpose of friendship, and it says right here, friends give us confidence and bolster our sense of self, especially during tough times. They increase our sense of purpose and belonging, and they significantly influence some of our most important behaviors. And that's what occurs on Sundays.
Yeah. Look at him, always educating us, y'all. He brought it to the doggone podcast. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I had to live up to Adair's expectations because she put me on the spot about moving away from the camera. So,
okay.
Well,
I appreciate
keep me
you.
on point.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And like you said, our bond, this group, our bond really grew stronger during COVID because I gotta be honest, y'all. Me being in this house by myself, I'm like, I need some humans to talk to. And during the period, and I'm like, what better way to connect? And the prayer call really just came about because I just felt like I was hearing so many times about our friends. It was like, oh, I'm sick, or I'm done, that this is going on, my family's this and that. And I'm like, okay, how can we build community amongst ourselves? And like you guys said, our Buffalo Alumni College Network has been really developing over the last 14 years, but this was just an extension of that. So, and I
Sure.
appreciate y'all because when I called, I remember calling Jeff and William. Adair and I have been partners in crime in terms of all things planning for BACN since the inception. But I remember saying, okay, who can I get to kind of help lead these calls? It was funny because I thought Jeff was a minister, and he's like, "No, I'm in divinity school." I said, "Don't matter, just get on, just come on. I just need you." And then William, he was one of the ministers at one of our reunions, and I'm like, "Okay, I got William, I got Jeff. I called John Collins, right? He's another brother. I called because he did the prayer service with us at our last reunion as well." And then it just, I mean, I put out the call, and I was just amazed at how many people joined that call. I was just amazed how many people joined. And so let's talk about that. I told you I'm gonna jump around with my questions, but let's talk about that. Let me do this. Let's talk about the college experience, because I want it to be more than just about our relationship, but in terms of friendships. When you look back and go down memory lane, all of us attended colleges and universities in Buffalo. That's what connected us initially. What are your most memorable moments from college? When you think about your friendships, what did you really appreciate about the friendships in college? And then, as we think about from there to now, we're going to eventually get into the now, but college days, because we might have some college students listening to this podcast. So let's talk about
when
that.
I thought about that question, Michelle, I had to think about it, and I was like, wow. I know I studied, I got out, I did grades, but that wasn't the most memorable. And when I have to be honest with you, going to a PWI, my most memorable moments was with my fraternities and my sorority sisters and the bond. I got to be honest with you, and the connection with them. I was an RA, I was an orientation, so I had all these other bonds as well. But the most memorable, I got to be honest with you, that is beyond my most memorable. And it's not just the parties, it's everything it taught me. I tell people the Divine Nine teaches you how to organize. It teaches you how to be a man. It teaches you how to be a woman. It teaches you how to put things together. It teaches you how to lead people. It teaches you, and it teaches you to find who you are. Really, it's deeper than what people think it is from looking from the outside.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because the PWI, HBCU, me now living in the South, surrounded by HBCUs, but the experience of minorities being in a PWI, to me, we bonded. We just naturally came together because that need of connectivity for us.
Yes.
Which to me, I appreciated so much.
Well, I
go ahead,
think
Andre.
I think a lot of that was because of the need for us to be together. Now, one of the foundation of our social interaction, because I definitely at UB, when we were in classes, we were pretty much, especially when you got into your major, you were probably the only Black or one of two, minorities in your class.
Yeah.
So we, looked to each other for social interaction, and the foundation or the major foundation of all of our social interaction were the D9 organizations, the Black fraternities and sororities. Luckily for us, they were city chapters.
Yes.
Now, I don't think we realized at the time how powerful that was, but basically what that did was it pretty much almost doubled our Black population.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I never really think about the fact that I went to a PWI because I was always surrounded by so many Black people, primarily because of the Black Student Union, the AASO, and all the Greek parties. Like I never felt alone. And the foundation of our social interaction truly were the fraternities and sororities. And for me, that was a huge saver. Whether you were Greek or not, you still, at least you knew. And then for students at UB, and I know Bus State students always came over, you knew Friday night was Black people night at the pub.
Right.
Okay. I mean, everybody was going to be at Wilkinson Pub on Friday night.
Right.
Whenever anybody had a line coming out, where was it debuted?
Right.
At the Wilkinson Pub on Friday night.
Right.
you know, and so that
It
was
was
like,
so different back then, right, y'all?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
yeah.
with Avon the bouncer.
I know.
right.
Avon, and I didn't realize who was the other guy that was there. Who was the other Tom? I
Fred
remember Thomas being a bouncer, which is so
and
funny because we just
Fred.
saw
I
Thomas.
can't remember Fred's
Yeah,
last
Fred
name.
as
Fred,
well.
yeah, Fred,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But you're right. You're right, Dre. It's like sororities and fraternities having citywide campuses help because we were always at each other's campus. I was telling
Right.
somebody over the weekend, I was like,
All
at
over the
some point,
place.
I couldn't tell
Y'all
who went to
wasn't trying to come
UB,
today.
who went to Buff State. No, we weren't
Exactly.
trying to go
Was
to
not
Damon.
trying to go to
Okay,
Damon.
Adea, why don't you go, Dea? Yeah, Dea, you were out there. You were,
Yeah, it was different at Damon. It was a smaller school, but you did feel those pockets of being the only one because truly you were the only one, and it was so divisive, out there. It was clear, who we were and who they were. So we had our own little bond, but we went for the bigger social life, traveling over to Buff State and UB. And I know for me, when it comes to the memories, what I always say, what I went up to school to get, I came out with so much more. Like I went up to school to get an education, but I didn't know how much I needed friendships and bonds until I got there. Because I started college when I was 16 and my mom had died just 2 years before that. But I didn't know that gap. I didn't know how much I needed a family. My dad had moved to the other side of the world by Africa. So I really was this kid that was out there struggling for significance. But I found that family in Buffalo. And so when I left, I felt like I left with the family, even though and some degrees.
Right.
But the memories I have is the family that I created or I met when I was there. So a lot of times when you go away to school, you think you're going up there just for one thing, and you learn so many lessons that you come out with so much more. So the memories I have, have to do with the bonds and the friendships that I made. And it made that struggle for significance at this particular PWI so much better because we were in the same boat. We had each other's back. On a small campus, but it was mighty in terms of the racism that we had to face out there. So, yeah.
I tell y'all, and I remember first being there, my parents are from the South. So I heard a little bit about racism, just a little bit. And my grandfather helped ignite one of the movements here in North Carolina. But growing up in Brooklyn, first of all, going to Buffalo, not realizing at that point in time it was 8 hours away from Brooklyn driving. And I literally remember my dad dropping me off and he's like, I ain't coming back up here no more. You're going to take the plane from there on. And that's exactly. He never drove me ever again back to school. But I remember I'm like, this just feels so funky here. I mean, and I was really wanting that connection. And I was so glad, got introduced to the Qs. But so glad, but even, working with them and it just made me realize the bond that is sororities and fraternities and the special bond that we had with each other and the stuff that we did. Cause we were some active people doing community service on our campuses too. Right. All of us were doing some stuff on the campuses. So to see that we could have fun, but we also were very serious about our work. All of us. Was important to me. Anybody else have anything you want to add in terms of your college experience?
I want to just chime in a little bit. Two things. I want to process this in the framework of meaning making and theologically. One thing to begin with, Michelle, we the Qs were very protective.
Yes, you are.
We still to this day are very protective. If you have a bag, we're carrying it for you. Deneen if Deneen was on this line, she would attest to all of that. She had her husband almost had to get approval before she said yes.
Don't tell Joe that.
Joel is he's a Sigma. He's so cool. He understands that if his wife is hanging out, his wife is protected.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. And theologically, when I think about all of this, I think about God has a certain affection for relationship, creating community.
Yes.
That's our creation. The Trinity was all about relationship, creating creation, which should have been community, but has its own sponsor community. And theologically, when I take a step back and I look at it, I said, wow, when I see the BACN come together, when my organization, the Megas, come together, and other organizations, I'm seeing relationships and community develop before my very eyes, all coming together on a BACN network.
Yes.
For a more meaningful experience with one another.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something. Everybody around that time was scared to death.
Yeah.
During COVID, we were all scared to death.
Yeah.
We needed each other. We needed each other to get through that emotionally, spiritually, and just the presence of seeing a face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just seeing the face. The enemy tried to divide us, but he didn't count. He didn't think about electronic means.
He sure didn't.
He didn't calculate that one into the equation. And look what it's doing to this day.
Yeah.
Right.
Continuation. Right. Yeah. Who was going to say something? Somebody was going to say, was it you, Pat, or Monet? Were y'all going to say something? I thought one of y'all was going to chime in.
I was going to say, just like how William started out by saying, okay, I did ask a question to someone today. I said, I've been shallow by not putting education first, but then my most memorable moment was actually, my becoming a Delta and just just have the camaraderie of all the sisterhood, the friendship that we have developed. And I really appreciated my my big sisters, when they come into town for events, just connecting, over the holiday. It was just, just that meaningful, and to know that it was a lifetime, commitment that we have. So
right. Say that again. It's a lifetime.
Look, we'll talk about Greekhood at a later time. William, I know you're ready to preach in a minute, but it is a, it goes beyond the college days. If you're serious about it, it goes beyond the college days. Let's be real. So
that's true. Well, I just want to say, because I didn't have the opportunity to pledge, I couldn't pledge because of certain situations. Yeah. But I have to say, everyone who was a Delta, who was an AKA, the Qs, I mean, the Kappas, I'm going to have to talk to them brothers about how they treated their Kappa diamonds, because the Qs treated the Q pearls like what? Anyway, but just the fact of the Sigmas and just thinking about everybody, like you said, just being a part of that family, supporting each other. I just think about, how I would, help out people who were online. And like you said, it was just a family. It was a family. Mm-hmm. And Michelle, no, your father did drive you one extra time, because he drove me too with my big with my big trunk. And he's like, that's when he said he's never driving us back up there. We had all that stuff, and we had to take People's Express.
There you go.
Yeah.
I remember that.
People Express for $19.
$19, and you pay on the plane.
You had no idea that our life was in our hands on $19 plane.
$19.
Right.
They come through the aisle with that little cart.
I know.
It was the day they went out of business.
But you pay on the plane.
And it was the only plane that would land in Buffalo when it was an ice storm and snowstorm. Remember that?
And we weren't
always took off.
We weren't thinking about it. We were just thinking about getting home. And even some of us, you did the bus ride, right? I remember taking a bus.
Yes,
one time.
One time.
One time.
But there was a bus that we all used to, some of us used to take back home.
Bluebird.
The Bluebird, but I'm talking about riding home, like doing breaks and stuff.
Yeah,
I remember doing that one time, and I think that was because I couldn't get People's Express, because all y'all were on it.
Wait a minute, y'all, I don't know if y'all was still there when People's Express went up to $29. Y'all, we were meant to be tied. We were $29 to fly to New York.
So my memorable experience was first getting to Buffalo on People Express. But then the first person that I met was Jeff Drew. And I met him at the airport. And here I am, this 18-year-old, first time being away from home. Not, my mother didn't want me to go. She was like, Joanne, why don't you just stay here? Go to a 2-year college. And I was like, no. I want to go away and go to a 4-year college. So I I had my little bag and I just went. And actually, it was like around midnight. Do you remember that, Jeff? It
Yes,
was
it
a
was.
late flight and I didn't plan anything. I was just very naive, just thought, okay, I was going to get to the school. I didn't have my room set up. I didn't have anything set up. So
Mm.
I was at the airport and I saw Jeff, and Jeff, you were with your roommate, I think, what
Reggie.
was his name?
Reggie.
Reggie.
Yeah,
And
Reggie Jackson.
yep. And you asked me, did I want to share a ride, a cab to get to the school? So I said yes. So, we took the cab to the school. And when I got there, you said, okay, well, where's your room? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know where my room is. And here it is after midnight, everything is closed, right? So, Jeff being very, respectful and like you said, very protective. He said, well, you could stay with us and me and Reggie in my room. And, they were very respectful. We ordered chicken wings. Remember that? That was the first time I had buffalo chicken wings.
The real chicken wings, buffalo chicken wings.
And then, we ate that. And then the next morning got up and then you took me to, was it Harriman? What was that main building where I can actually go? Harriman Hall.
Yeah.
And I was able to get my room set up and, he showed me where it was. And then the rest was history. And then after that, that's when he asked me to be a cute sweetheart. And, so, and here it is, 40 years later. And we're still on the line together. We still, are connected. I'm still amazed by that.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that. Go ahead, Jeff. And then
two meaningful experiences. That's one that Joanne always brings up, and the other one for me is my pledge process, because whenever I get in difficult times to this day, I reflect on my pledge process, God first, and my pledge process second, because we were made right. And I can honestly say that it still anchors me in my toughest times now.
Yeah.
And if you know, a lot of the brothers that pledged us was the 70 brothers, and they all were wise and wild, and it was just so much there that I did not think it was going to stick to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chef, when you say that, it's so funny because I think for a lot of us, and I'll speak to Gamma Kappa, I mean, even being at the conclave, supporting you guys. I mean, I went because you guys were celebrating your 40th anniversary, and I was like you said, I was part of the Lamp Corps, became Michelle, but I felt like I needed to be there to support you guys in terms of that, for that. But I mean, the protectiveness, the relationships. I remember John Magic was the first person was the first person I met. And I remember even meeting him. It was like very helpful. And I came in, I was 17 when I started college. And it was just like, you're going there like with a deer in headlights. And it's like, what do I do? What do I do? And everybody was just the bond in terms of us, just being able to support each other and direct each other. Nobody was acting crazy. It was just like, how can we, so what do you need? How can I help you? I mean, beyond the advisors and all that, we were just there for each other. And the bond is still strong. I mean, Gamma Kappa, we had 3 decades of Gamma Kappa, just impromptu. We're like, okay, let's come together. Let's have dinner. Let's have lunch. And we're always doing that whenever we're together. And I think that's something that stemmed from our relationships back in college, where we can come together and just hang out with each other. And it's almost like old times. Nobody even gets into it. Go ahead, Adea. I think you're going to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it goes back to what Jeff said, and then kind of what you're just saying. I think the foundation that was created in Buffalo about family and friendships is huge in terms of how it can move forward. Even just leaning on the shield that we went to school in Buffalo and we have mutual and common friends. Michelle, that's how our friendship developed. Yeah. And when we started the prayer call a couple of years ago, I didn't have a good relationship. Sorry, Jeff, I don't think you were there, but I didn't have a good relationship with the Omegas in school. Matter of fact, I couldn't stand them, and I refused to go to their parties. No, for real. Because I had a negative experience with them while I was online. So I was that one that my nose was turned up. I didn't want nothing to do with them. So you couldn't have told me even 5-6 years ago that I would lean on an Omega like Jeff for prayer. You know what I mean? For support, like my brother. I would have never. I did eventually get a couple of cute friends, but they were from Syracuse. I never had a close relationship with any Omega from Buffalo. Like I barely tolerated them until I got older, and then had a better relationship with them. But the prayer call, you know, with Jeff, like I can say, like I feel like he's my brother, my spiritual partner. And it shifted my mindset to a degree. Now, of course, I didn't have the same, you know, teenage or early 20s attitude towards the Buffalo Omegas when I got into my 40s and 50s and stuff. But still, I think the foundation and the trust level that we created back then I don't know the word I want to say, has moved us all
transcended, has transcended, really.
And so
really
even if, because even back in the day, I didn't have a good relationship with the Deltas. I mean, it was like, no, girl. I would have never spoken to y'all like ill, like for real. But just
you were being a real AKA back then. But go ahead.
I still am now. You know, truth
you were
be
real
told.
special.
Hey, wait a second. I wanted to play AKA.
But I'm just saying that, truth be told, some things about me haven't changed, but I got to know people beyond the shields. You know what I mean? And so I just say that with the Omegas, the point I was making, what Jeff was saying, with the Omegas, and I feel like I'm tumbling over my words now, but I would have never thought that I would feel close and have this type of relationship with Omegas, other than what I've created and cultivated through the prayer call, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
but but what you're saying to me, Adea, when you say that, what I take from that is we've gone beyond our colors. Because I think back then there's always been, you know, that fun rivalry, know, whatever, love, hate. But a lot of that that fun rivalry with each other. And you know, to be here now, to go beyond our color, because it really isn't about our colors as friends, right? Back then in college, right, we were, you know, through the activities we did and all that other stuff. But I always remembered always supporting each other through it all. Whatever we had. Whatever we had. Community service stuff. I mean, if someone was having stuff, we were there, right? But I think how I take what you're saying is it's transcended beyond the organizations. Our friendship now have transcended beyond the organizations.
That's it. And I think Buffalo created the foundation, and it was strong enough for us to go beyond that. And I think now we know each other more as people. Like you don't, well, we may still identify and say, well, you know what, Daya, she's the AKA. But back then that was how you defined each other. Like I was not liking Deltas. I didn't even know. You know, I didn't know nothing about him. Janera and I had a conversation several years ago. We were in the same place at the same time. And I just kind of looked at it. I said, oh, I didn't even know you were smart. Like literally.
Oh, Lord, Jesus.
And, like, you know, my mouth. But the point is, we didn't like each other, but we didn't know each other. And it was just an aha moment. But the foundation, I think, set us up to be able to transcend to where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah. And Claudia keeps jumping in and out. Claudia, hey. There she go. Eventually she'll be able to join us. Okay, I'm gonna move into some other kind of questions now, just getting at the heart of just friendship. So many of us have different levels of friendship. So I want you to think beyond just our connection, right? Many of us have different levels of friendships. And William, you kind of alluded to this friendship around males, females, and even Joanne and Jeff and I, as we were talking about friendships. So talk to us about, is there a difference between how men categorize friendships versus women? Let's go there. Thoughts around that?
Well, it depends on the age and what age range you're speaking about. You're speaking from a freshman, sophomore point of view, or from an adult point of view now?
Let's talk about back then and then now. What's your thoughts there?
Well, back then, I don't know.
I made Jeff actually stumble. I can't believe
I know. Wait, he got a lost in words there. Uh-oh, Joe. Let's see.
Jeff is stumbling.
Her and Joanne know my history. That's
Well,
why.
I do too. Even though I was the quiet
That's-
one, I knew you. I
Well,
saw you.
Yeah, they know my
Well,
history.
Jeff, you and I were just friends. So I think
Yeah.
that men and women can just be friends. It doesn't matter. It depends on the person, right? So
Yeah.
like use Jeff and I. Like Jeff, you and I were just friends, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You were nice and helping at the time when I really needed somebody at that time. That was a friendly gesture, and it never morphed into anything
Right.
whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
So I think men and women can be friends. It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
I guess what I want to say, maybe she called me a good day. I guess I don't know.
I'm just laughing. I believe.
I don't know.
I
don't know,
I'm
but
laughing because I made you stumble. You've never paused.
But you know what it was though? It was like we were all thrusted into this environment, and that was kind of like the last thing on your mind at that point. You're just trying to survive, and here it is. I have a sister from the Bronx, trying to don't have a room. First, I'm like, wait a minute, you come all the way up here, you don't have a room and nothing already established.
I know. I'm hearing that story, and I'm like, Lord, Joanne. Even back then, Joanne. What's going on, Joanne?
Lord have mercy.
I can hear my parents in the back of my head, particularly my father. You need to take care of her.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that she's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And my father always says, when you're around a woman, never let her be hungry. My father has always taught me that.
I like that, Jeff.
Always make sure a woman is well fed and safe.
Mm-hmm.
So learn behavior. That's what happened in that airport. At first, I was like, wait a minute. I wouldn't have done something like that. Come all the way up here, and I ain't got nowhere to lay my head.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking. I was just wanted to get there. I wasn't thinking what's going to happen next. But maybe, that was God. I look at it seriously, like that was God.
Yeah.
Jeff, where you and I just kind of met at the right time. And even though it didn't make any sense, it made sense. It worked its way into making sense.
Yeah.
So, I thank God for that. I thank God for you.
Yeah. Jeff and Andre and William, what you got to say? What you have to say?
So I was one of those people through high school and college. I'm friends with everybody.
Yeah.
So the thought of can men and women really be, it's not anything that I ever really intentionally thought about, because to me, like, if you sitting next to me and you got conversation, like, I'm that one, I'm gonna talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
What, regardless of who you are. So I was friends with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Buffalo, outside of our social interactions, through parties or whatever, like, I had a bunch of white friends too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care if you was black, white, male, female. If you was cool with me, I was cool.
Dre
with you,
will talk to a rock, basically.
Exactly. Basically. My
and
mother,
wait for it to reply.
my mother and father always joked that I took a long time to start talking. And once I did, I wouldn't shut up.
Okay.
And it got to the point when they went to parent-teacher conferences that they didn't even ask. They said, well, aside from the fact that he talked too much, how's he doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because all my teachers, they were like, oh, you already know, huh?
Yeah.
So friendships are friendships for me. As long, if they're going to be organic, and it doesn't matter, male, female, and I guess to a certain extent it does depend on what your motivation is.
Absolutely.
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 But yeah, I believe that anybody who wants to be friends can be friends.
Yeah. And the key to that, to me, is setting your boundaries. And, unfortunately,
and that's exactly what I was going to say, Michelle.
Go ahead.
The maturity level of the individuals and have safe boundaries. And you have to have boundaries. And once you know what the boundaries are, you can have a friendship with the opposite sex, but you have to have boundaries. And especially and the line of field that I'm in, I have to have boundaries with
Yeah.
everything I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It goes without a question.
And how do you approach
ahead,
your
Michelle.
friendships with male? Because I think for women, you know, there's a connection, and I'm talking about just females in general, right? I mean, all of us size each other up, right? Trying to see what's going on, and but I think we're nurturers naturally, and we tend to just come together, right? Naturally, we find that connection. Is that the same thing with men amongst each other?
No,
Okay, talk more about that, because that's what
I
I
don't
want to
think
get
so.
into.
Because
Go
in
ahead.
general, men have a very hard time. If most of the men I connect with are brothers that I met in the fraternity. Outside of that, we may play sports with each other or see one of it, but it's not a deep connection. It's not. It's just a surface on a level. As
Okay.
far as I may know somebody from the gym and never even know who their family is, and
Okay.
they may never even bring that up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unless,
Right.
but me as a communicator, I'm gonna go deeper than that. But
Right.
in general, we don't.
Right. More cautious about your friendships. Jeff,
Most
what are you
definitely.
saying?
I'm kind of, I take it as it comes. You know, with my prior law enforcement background, I'm always sizing somebody up in the first place.
Right.
You know,
Right.
coming from the hood in Brooklyn, just sizing people up. So, you know, I'm I have established relationships outside of fraternity. To be honest with you, some of my fraternity brothers I just can't stand. I mean,
Right.
Exactly.
That's real talk. I
Just
mean,
being real, being real.
Just
that's
be
it.
real.
Just can't
Real
stand them.
talk.
I mean, I don't like running with them, hanging out with them, because they're just not the people that I want to roll with. But yet there's some other folks that are not in my fraternity, males, that I can have a great conversation with and have a good connection with. My parents always taught me that friends, you should always distinguish between friends and acquaintances.
Mm.
So I can count my true friends maybe on one hand.
Okay.
And of course, Johnny's one of them, of course.
Right. And when you say true friends, what is it about a true friend versus your fair weather friend?
A true friend that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about their integrity. You don't have to worry about what they're going to do in times of trouble. You don't have to worry about them advocating for you when you can't advocate for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And they are a true friend. You are willing to risk being vulnerable and transparent in front of them, around them. For men, crying in front of them, and someone that I know would check me when I need to be checked. And then when they check me and they confronting me with care.
Right.
But they won't have any problem to confront me. And they'll confront me and they'll know I may resist a bit, but I will listen.
Yeah.
Because I trust them.
Yeah.
So that's a true friend. I mean, a regular friend be like, you may take a little bit of here, a little bit of there, wisdom or whatever. Be like, all right, well, okay, I consider it.
Yeah.
But no, I won't consider it with a true friend. I'll ponder on it.
Yes. Yeah. Claudia, I see you, sister.
Well, people, love you all, known you for years. I have been in Memphis so long that I forgot my hour is an hour behind.
Yes.
That when I said, they look like they in deep conversation. When I looked, I was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, girl, you just a little delayed. Yeah. So what you got to say, Claudia? How do we?
You know, it is what it is. Then I'm technologically challenged. So when I get on, everybody has their first name. So I went to fix my last name. I'm trying to look at the chat.
Claudia has been Claudia, introduce yourself. And everybody was asking, how do we talk about how they first met me? How do we meet? And Claudia is a comedian, y'all. If y'all don't know that about her, she has a comedic side
about it. I have a chance, but I won't do it tonight.
Yes.
But I met Michelle in 1982 when I came to Buffalo. I had a dear friend. We were so close, we called each other cousins, Marie Marillis.
Yes, yes.
And so she had been in Buffalo the year before me. So she just introduced me to everybody. And by her introducing me, I didn't have that. I just got here. I don't know anybody. I had somebody to take me around and introduce me to everybody. Alpha,
Yeah,
fraternity,
yeah,
sorority people, people that didn't play. We didn't pledge at that time in
right.
1982. So I just met everybody of color, and she may have introduced me to some white people. I don't remember them. I just remember everybody black. That's what I remember.
We were talking. It's so funny, Claudia, because we were talking about our bond
That's
going to
right. You confirmed
CWI.
everything that we was
Yeah,
talking
you
about.
did, because we were talking about, going to a
Be $1 million right now. Name one white person. I
yeah,
can't for the life of me remember. I know we was in the other Greek fraternity organizations, where we did community service with them and everything. I can't remember a doggone soul's name. Not one.
you just
Not
you
one.
just yeah, you just really validated what we were saying, how we
Yes.
grew close to each other. You know what? I mean, Buffalo had, well, back when we were there, it was like 30,000 students,
It was
Yeah.
right?
huge. It was like,
Huge.
what?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like looking around, like I said, seriously, like a deer in headlights. I'm like, what in the world? Why did I come here?
I was like, what have I got myself
So, what
into?
have you gotten yourself into? Because I'm like, my God, you're in a classroom and there's 200 students. I'm like, dear God, help me, please. But
That's
Corey, we were
that's
talking about the. Go ahead, John. Go ahead, Dre.
no, I was going to say that's what I wanted. I wanted the not necessarily the large classrooms, but like the 30,000 people on campus and
Mm,
the big pretty buildings. And I mean, the first time I stepped foot on UB's campus, I looked around. I was like, okay, this is where I'm coming.
yeah.
With them 200 people in
Claudia,
them
we were talking
classes.
about the difference in terms of men and females, how we establish our friendships. So, any thoughts for you in terms of friendship? What's important to you in terms of friendships?
I think Dre hit the nail on the head. I learned pretty early on to have friends, close friends, and then acquaintances. So I think most of the guys that I met were acquaintances,
Hmm.
not to mention someone who was a couple of years ahead of me captured me in my freshman first year at UB, and I ended up being tied into this brother the whole time. So,
Hmm.
I'm not the type of person to like, well, I won't say I never cheated. I won't say that.
Oh no.
I keep
Oh
Transparent.
God, Claudia.
Oh yeah.
was concerned. So and publicly I had male acquaintances,
Right.
you know, but
Mhm.
so I didn't have those really close relationships with the men of the opposite sex,
Right.
Not very many, but I did have
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
very good conversations with a few.
Yeah.
You
And
know, so
Claudia was my neophyte, so she pledged a year after I did.
what's
So that's how
ironic
we
about
met.
this? When you mentioned 30,000 students,
Yeah.
we didn't have any social media. We didn't have any
Right.
No.
smartphones.
Right.
No. We're telling
Look
our
at
age at this point. Yes, we
where we
did.
are now.
Yeah.
But we knew everything that was going on. You knew
That's right.
everybody,
That's right.
parties that were happening. Did y'all talk about when we got to Buffalo, the airport wasn't even developed?
No, I
When
don't
we got
remember
to
Let's
that.
talk
Buffalo,
about
the
People
We
airport
Express.
still
we talked
had
about People Express. I remember that, Claudia. We talked
it
about
wasn't
People
even
Express.
developed. I mean, the airport was still under construction. There was no international Buffalo airport.
Hmm.
It looked like, I don't know, we were going through lumber and stuff getting from one end of the
I don't
airport to
remember
the
that.
other back in those days.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't
But
remember
remember that.
No,
Me
I
Yeah, I
neither.
don't
I
don't.
just
remember that.
remember getting
Hmm.
in there on the ice. That's what I. But Michelle, can I just say something? You were
Yes,
talking
Monday.
about and protecting. So you're right. Magic, John Collins, Magic was our big brother, and he
Yeah.
did
'Cause
protect
you
us
and I
from
met him at the same
same
time.
time. Yeah, he
Yeah.
protected us from the wolves. He really did. He
He
kept
sure
us
did.
underneath his arms, and I really want to give him kudos for this because they were like, "Who are they?" And he was like, "Those are my sisters." They would
Mm.
call us Frosh. You know, I don't know what Frosh meant, but he did. He protected us. He
Yeah.
kept us. He kept and he walked because he was military and he walked
Yes.
like what
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
not even take a look at them. So that is true. I want to give kudos to John because he saved us from a lot of those little wolves.
Ooh
Like
wee.
Ruben, remember Ruben would look at us and be like,
Yeah.
You're like, what the?
Y'all are crazy.
So I have to give
Y'all are
kudos to my
crazy.
brother John Magic
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody
So
else in terms of relationships, in terms of establishing? Go ahead, Adea.
So two things. One, when Jeff just said about social media, we didn't have that then, and we still managed to figure it out. But I have to say, I feel blessed that we do have it because that's how I've been able to cultivate relationships beyond my circle. I'm naturally
Yes.
an introvert, and I don't fool with people. Like that Cardi B song. Well, I won't say that, but
Yeah.
I don't mess with folk. It is
Right.
what it is. But social media,
All right.
years ago, like when I released my first book, and the responses I got from the Buffalo community, and being able to build my business and my brand, regardless of what colors we wore and all of that. Social media has been powerful in me in building friendships with people I went to school in Buffalo because they saw who I really was, and I got to
Right.
see glimpses of who they are. Whereas back in the day, we didn't have that. We only knew what other people told us,
Right. Right.
and we only saw the persona, like you said, I was a true AK. Well, that's what you saw when I went out to the parties. That was
Exactly.
one side. That wasn't real. It was really who I was, but it wasn't really who I was. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So social
Exactly.
media allows, at least for me, if you're speaking your truth and walking your truth, it allows people to see who I am inside. But when we
Yeah.
talk about friendships with male and females, I've always had great, strong male friends. I'm still friends with my friend Bert from when we were in the ninth grade. We met when I was 11. I was 12. I was 11, then I turned 12, and he was like 13. And we're still like this. But I've had to be careful over the years because once I've said I do, I got a husband who don't really play that. He's
Mm-hmm.
real.
Mm-hmm.
Gino is really conservative. He's a quiet, cool dude, but he's looking like he's my extra eyes and ears because even
Mm-hmm.
though I have the greatest and the best of intentions of just being friends, he got spidey radar. I guess it's like Jeff when you said you always looking at people's side eyes. I forgot the quote that you said. I guess this is law enforcement and who he is. So I got to be respectful for that. So even though I may feel comfortable being friends with a guy, if he's uncomfortable with it, I got to shut it down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But there are certain people that he just knows that, like Dre and I have been friends forever and ever. And Gino ain't thinking about no Dre. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
you know,
But it's funny you said that because I think even for myself, when you think about the relationship, Jeff, I just met his wife this past weekend. Heard a lot about Sandy, but I'm trying to be very thoughtful about. Okay, I ain't calling him all hours of the night, but I know if I need him, he will call me, and and I'll talk about that.
Right.
My earlier this year when I needed y'all. Mm,
Mm.
Yeah.
him calling me and my other best friend walking through the door at the same time, it was just bringing two different groups of friends together and just really it was like, Lord, thank you. That's all I could say was, Lord, thank you. But I'm a respectful. Same thing with Johnny and his wife. I mean, LeVay, and
Right.
they know me, they trust me, they know we are friends. That's it.
Somebody mentioned boundaries earlier,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah,
Yes.
that's the key. The boundaries that become really, really. So that doesn't really matter. Let me just say my thing. It doesn't really matter how I feel about the friendship.
yeah.
If I'm going to stay married, you know.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
So,
Yeah.
but I think men and women can be friends personally. I really think they can be great friends. But I've just had to put a limitation in these boundaries because I have a husband who really kind of thinks the opposite. It depends on, like what Claudia said, or I think what Claudia said, depends on who the other person is too.
Right. Right. Yeah. Anybody else
And
want
what
to
their
add?
motivation is too.
I think the
Yeah.
motivation piece is, and men, y'all got some keen sense because y'all y'all know dudes.
So look, y'all remember at UB there was that class Blacks in Films, taught by
Yeah.
Miss Dr. Pappas, and
Yeah.
everybody went to Blacks in Films every Tuesday night. Well, a good friend of mine in Buffalo, he used to go to the freshman girls and be like, "Hey, baby, I know where I could take you to a free movie."
Oh Lord. Right.
Like I said, it depends on the motivation.
Right.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's
Let me mute myself because
Yeah, I know. I know. Listen, I got to get to one of my friend Angela had put something else. I'm gonna pose this to y'all. Y'all tell me. So when you're thinking about the friendships, right? And we know there's different levels of friendship. She says, what about friends who suggest you are not real friends unless you are talking on the regular?
What kind of friend is
I
that?
beg.
I don't agree with that
Well,
at all.
I don't
I
agree
don't.
with that because I have a friend like her and I went to high school together. She's from the Bronx like I am. She lives in Atlanta now. And me and my family are going on a cruise next week, and her daughter are going with us. And her and I don't talk all the time, but when we do, like last night we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. So, and I still consider her a very good friend. So I don't think you have to talk to someone on the regular to have be considered a good friend. I think it depends on how if your chemistry, your history, what how you really feel about each other. That determines the friendship.
Exactly.
And I think that the power of the go ahead, Pat. Let me let you go.
No, I was just going to add to that, by saying that, once you develop a friendship, and you know each other's lives and, what entails each other's life, it might not be that we can talk every day or,
Right.
or every month. But as I said, it goes way beyond that, as Joanne says, that there's friends that I haven't talked to in 2 years, and I would, we'll call each other, and it was like we talked yesterday. So it's kind of like whatever, you might have to look at it. Are you requiring too much of that friend, or you, So I think like communication might be a good, key to express exactly, what you expect, or
Right.
that person might be expecting a little bit too much from that individual.
I know, because to me, the best friends are the ones you can call up, and it's like you can, it's like
And
years
just pick
haven't
up where
passed you
you
by.
left
You just
off.
pick off where you left off. That's for
Yeah.
me, right? That's how I know the
And I
friendships
have to
for
agree
me has
with
a
you
special
all.
bond. Yes, yes.
I think
So
you
go
have
ahead.
to
Anybody
make
else got
sure
to add
you're
something? Go ahead,
I was going
Daniel.
to say, I think you have to be aligned because I got two who I would say BFFs. I got Jackie, who y'all know I talk to Jackie every day. We wake up together, we go to sleep together, just talking all over nonsense, growing up, stuff between the kids and parents and yada. But then I have a friend, Lori, who I grew up with in Brooklyn. I've known her since I was 8 years old. And she was well aware of how I grew up and everything. I don't talk, Lori went a whole different path, like drugs and 7 kids with 7 different daddies, like a whole different lifestyle. Since we've reconnected, I called Lori out of the blue. I hadn't talked to her in a couple of years. I needed her to fill out a form and sign something for me. Lori's like, girl, what the email address? What's the email address?
Right.
Different types of friends, but she's still my ride or die because
Yeah.
you got to just have that communication to me on what the expectation is. And I can't talk to Lori every day because she's still kind of in the streets. We don't live the same lifestyle. She's still in the Bronx in the projects. I introduced my sons had never been to the projects, so they went to her house. But still, that's my ride or die friend since I was 8. But having that open communication on what the friendship looks like is key to me.
And that's true. I just want to say, because that's how Michelle is to me. She's my ride or die. She's my sister. She is one of my lifelines,
Mm-hmm.
And like she said, we may not speak every day. I mean, since we reconnected, like you said, with the reunions and so forth. But she is one of my sister girls. My family knows her.
Mm-hmm.
We can ping pong off of each other. She could tell me some things, and I'd be like a teardrop or four, right, Michelle? But that is one of my rocks, and I admire her. She inspires me. She is one of I'm gonna get emotional with that.
Oh
She's
God,
one
don't
of
do
the
that
loves
with
of
me.
my life. I love you.
Don't do it.
One of the. I'm
I don't have my
sorry. I have
tissue.
to
Don't
say it.
do it. Don't do it. I
I'm
have my
sorry.
tissue.
This is what friendship's about. But she's one
Yeah.
of the loves of my life, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love her. And guess what? I'm about to make Pat the next one of my life. And Claudia, all of y'all, because I'm always every event that Michelle have a birthday party, be like, "Hey, Claudia," we
Right.
dancing and just like I'm like Claudia, because Marie, like you said, Marie was our lifeline, right?
Right.
That was the one who introduced me to you. And I love your cousin, but I didn't know that she wasn't your real cousin, but I love her. And listen,
We
I
had
don't have
we
to
had a
see
lot of
her.
play. We had a lot
I
of play cousins back there.
We
Plays.
did
Yeah.
have a lot of
Yeah.
play cousins, but I just want to say that because I
We didn't
ab
call them play cousins though.
no, we call
Nah.
cousins,
We
Yeah.
and
just call them cousins. That play stuff I just
Exactly.
learned down here. I'm
Yeah.
yeah,
serious. I
yeah.
never
Yeah.
knew that play stuff till I moved down south.
So I just had to say that just to piggyback off what Adair is saying, because when the connection is there, the connection is
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Crystal, everybody. I'll act like I saw them yesterday, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
we may not have. So
What
that's
do
just
what do you value in your friendships today that you did not value back then? Anybody?
Um,
Always trust, even back
Mm-hmm.
then, trust and loyalty. I don't
Yeah.
need nobody that could lie because, like my mother said, they lie to you, they cheat to you, they steal from you. So
Mm-hmm.
trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. It's the honesty and the truthfulness that can make or break a friend with me. The minute that you lie, because you can go through different things and just explain to somebody, look, this is what happened. I took that thing, I borrowed that, whatever. But don't lie about it because then I can't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I think your really good friends don't have to lie. You can be real with each other with a true friend. You don't have to lie. And the minute that you lie, it's just very difficult for me to trust you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, for me, I have two. It's twofold. Back then, what I valued in a friend was to keep your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
But now,
Woo-wee!
you might keep your mouth shut. That was a sign of a good friend. And now,
Yeah.
is reliability. And I need to feel that you love me and you allow me to love you.
right.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
Jeff. I
I'm
feel
double.
yes.
I'm piggybacking with Jeff. It's all about the love,
Mhm.
unconditional love. It's all about the unconditional love now. Back in the day, because I was like Andre. I liked everybody. I was friends with basically everybody. There were people who didn't like me, but it is what it was, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still the same to this day. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, no, it's been love for me throughout my entire life. So I'm gonna say unconditional love.
yeah. Could
Mm.
you hear me?
Uh,
Could y'all hear me? Because I'm talking. I don't know if y'all can actually
Yeah.
hear me.
Oh, we can
yeah,
hear you
yeah.
now, Joanne. Go ahead.
So I agree, Jeff. It's if I feel the love, like if I feel like you really love me and really like me, then I'll consider you a friend. But if I sense phoniness, or like Claudia was saying, I can't trust you, or you're lying, or you're just not sincere, then obviously, I'm not going to allow you to get close to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything to add to that?
I think when
No.
I was younger, I did not. I don't want to say I didn't trust people, but I always thought that people had an angle, or people were trying to get over in some way. I don't know if that was the New York in me or what.
Probably a little bit of that too.
Um, yeah, I think as I've got older, I think one of the things that I've truly allowed myself, that I value now, um, that I probably wouldn't have done when I was in college, was allow myself to be vulnerable, um,
Mhm.
with people. And I think that is, one of the things that I really value now. I guess also the maturity in people, because
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all truly different people than we were, um,
Definitely.
when we were in school. We have different
Definitely.
priorities, but we also look at things differently. And I think as I got older and I learned who I could trust, or just to trust a little bit more, I also allowed myself to be vulnerable to people more. And I think that's something that I value more now. I guess I really didn't even think about it when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't allow myself to be vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
because I think everything was kind of centered around how people looked at you and how people saw you. Everything was on that outer appearance.
Yeah.
I remember, and I don't know if Pat and Adair remember this, but one time when Adair was given the message on our Sunday call, and she just shared so much of her past with us, and I remember Pat saying, "Wow, I would have never thought that stuff." But it was something like that. Pat said, and I guess to a certain extent, even when we were in college, me and Adair were friends, but the Adair that I saw was this, like, she was just perfect. Right, right. She was just this. She was just
Polished
this,
and
and she
yeah.
polished and poised, and you
Look,
just,
now she's on the calls braiding her hair.
right, 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 right.
Because y'all got to know the other side, you know.
But you know what? It's so
But
funny because Dre, what you said. I mean, even me jokingly talking about, yeah, AK, she's being AK. Back then, there was those personas that we had of each other in our organizations,
Yeah.
and I think over the years we've gotten to know each other, right? And again, I
Right.
go back to beyond the organizations, but if you go by, the profile of what some people say about our organizations, people will have you jacked up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
But
and we're
Michelle, I
so much,
just want
we're
to
so
add
much,
to what
we're so much more than that. Go ahead.
I just want to add to what you're saying. It's not just the organization, it's the whole mask that we all wear. We all
Yeah.
wear
Right.
this mask that we protect
Mhm.
ourselves from. And I think the prayer line, it has allowed me to take that mask off because I've been very vulnerable with you guys, just as a dear. But it's the mask that we wear to for lack of other words, to protect ourselves. And that's
Yeah.
only protecting our ego. And when we protect
Yeah.
that, it's just
right.
edging God out of the picture. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
Andre,
Michelle,
hold on a second. I want to make sure because I think I cut Andre off a little bit. Andre, were you
okay.
going to say something
No,
else?
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Adele.
So then for me, when you first asked that question, I had to sit here and think for a second because it wasn't an easy answer. But I think for me, I don't think I've changed in terms of what I value because the friendships that I've had since I was young, I don't think I've had like a really bad friend where someone has turned on me. And I think there may have been some personality challenges, or some people they're in your life for a season and it naturally went the other way. But the same values, because I've had the same friends since I was 8 years old. You're saying, well, listen, I've been friends since I was 11 years old. Not that it's all been easy, but
Right.
those are still my good friends. And I think for me, because I'm an introvert, I have always kind of chosen friends wisely, and I've picked and choose, whatever the word, what I share. So yeah, people they see the end product, and those who become my friends, they start to see the process. And I think the same stuff I was doing in high school and elementary school in terms of picking my friends, just being an introvert. Not everybody can get in my world now. I used to tell people, if you don't know me, you can't stand me. But to know me is to love me, period. And I think that those values I had then are the same that I have now. Like, I don't let everybody in my world. I don't be fooling with much. I ain't got time for that. So I think it's the same, if that's a good answer or the right answer, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's your answer.
Can I?
Yeah.
That's right.
I just
Go ahead, Pat.
go ahead.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Claudia.
Chloe. Go ahead.
I wanted to say, I think back when I was 18, I gave people the benefit of the doubt. Like, I thought everyone was genuine until they showed me something else. So I thought everybody came from a place of goodness. I really did when I was 18, until you showed me something other than that. But as a grown person now, I got to see where you're coming from. I got to see, like, I could sense people and it shows on my face. I mean, it really does. Like I could see where somebody's coming from, and I could see what they're going to do. And
Yeah.
sometimes they just fall right into that, which I don't think I had that perception when I was 18. And it may be a dare that I did have a friend that, just took our friendship and just tore it to pieces. So I had someone who was in my inner circle do that to me.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what made me now look at people. But again, I have other friends that I don't have to worry. I could call them
Yeah.
at any time with any problem. One of
Yeah.
them's a PKA. I could call
Yeah.
her up and say, I just need you right now. And she would just, she'd just be right there.
Well,
You know?
and it's so funny because, like you said, I mean, even I remember, and I've told this story before when I was starting this video podcast, and I remember seeing, and why the heck is her name escaping me a day?
Nicole.
God.
I remember because you
And
asked
I remember
me.
seeing, yeah, and I remember seeing Nicole, and she was doing some podcasts and stuff like that. And I remember calling her up. It was beyond AKA, it was beyond anything. I'm like, look, this sister is doing something that I see she's doing well, and I want to learn something from her. And we talked, and to me, it was beyond, I mean, just support. And she's been on supporting me as well. And she actually pushed me to do the podcast. I was very hesitant about doing it.
Yeah.
And so again, I think, if we go back in college, I don't know if I would have came to her. I mean, like y'all said, I would have been talking to one of my sorors. Like,
and
nope,
Nicole would have probably kept on walking.
That's right.
Nicole would have been like,
look. And that's what I'm saying. Back then, it's like, nope, I'm calling one of my sorors. That's who I'm calling. But now I'm just like, no, I need to call whoever knows how to do stuff. I don't care what they, right? Question. I'm gonna pivot a little bit.
But I think Pat wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Pat. Yes, go ahead, Pat.
No, I guess some of it had been said, and there, one of them you said in terms of what I've learned, back then to now, is that friends are in your life for a season. As you said, might be to take you to this level, and and that's where we learn discernment and just how your spirit connected. That to know when you need to just let it go. And just keep going, because you can't, everyone is not to go along with you on the journey. So that's something that I've learned, also in friendship, that we have to have the discernment and, to know when, we need to just leave this one here and just, keep moving.
You are transitioning me to this next topic. Is like, I could have texted you and asked you to say this, right? It's about how we deal with conflict. Because it is, to your point, some friendships are here for a season, some for a lifetime. And sometimes people, they get the feathers wrestled a little bit about that. But I think as I've gotten older, I've appreciated that much more in terms of, look, if I need to step away, I will pull back from it. And eventually you'll go on with your business and I don't have to deal with you, right? But talk about how you deal with conflicts, because I know a couple of people, one person asked, expectations in a friendship, when do you establish that? Let's take that one real quick. Friendships, how do you establish? I mean, for me, I don't know if I have a sit down conversation like, look, we're gonna be friends. We're gonna, this is is what we do, right? I mean, I don't. But what are you thinking?
I'll say, what I've noticed as, as I said, like here and now, with friendship, is that, we'll meet someone, you'll meet someone, and then, as I said, your spirit and everything just connected. And you find yourself just moving in that direction where, you're communicating, you're, just talking about your life. They're talking about, their life, and, somehow there's like interest. There's, you are able to just see eye to eye. And from there, as I said, it's a good way to communicate. As you said, what is it that, you like, and what is it they like, and how you move, how they move. And, you find yourself, just going in that direction, and there's no, there's no friction. But you know, if you come to a place of conflict, you know, as I said, I just think that line of communication, you know, should be ongoing, you know, because initially you set that you know, the boundaries. They know who you are, you know who they are, so you know how far you can go with that individual, and they should know how far they can go with you. And if you find that there is, you know, some conflict, I think the best thing to do is to talk about it. If the friendship is worth it, if the value is there, you know, is to really communicate that rather than making assumption and getting puffed up and angry, you know, and the other person not knowing exactly where you're coming from.
I think that's a big key. Go ahead, Andre.
I was going to say that has been a huge growth thing for me over the years. One of the things, especially when I was younger, that I was absolutely horrible at dealing with is conflict. I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. I never have liked it. And but as I've gotten older, and it has truly been a process, I've learned exactly what Pat is saying is about the communication piece. Because there were times when I wouldn't even want to talk about it for fear of losing a friend or whatever the case. And I would just like internalize stuff just not to have any conflicts or confrontations. As I've gotten older, I've realized that that's not healthy for me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've had to be intentional sometimes with, you know, confronting people about certain things, or, you know, just having conversations around things that were causing conflict. But that's been one of the biggest things that I've had to grow into, because I am not a person who likes conflict or confrontation or anything like that. And that's been very gross. So everything that Pat was saying is truly key. It's the communication part, and not being afraid to have that communication.
Yeah. And I know I'm looking at this expectations and friendships when you establish it. I think as I've gotten older, when I meet someone new, I know, you know, probably within 1 or 2 engagements, whether or not it's someone I even want to deal with. Right. I mean, and I don't go for, you know, I just, you know, make myself available or not available. If I feel like there's a connection or if there's not a connection, right? So that for me, it's like, I'm not going to deal with you if there's no connection there. I'm just not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for me, I don't know whether it's just me being the introvert or me just being stuck up, stinking nasty. In that I'm not fooling with people. Look, when it comes to friends, and this may sound mean, I'm good on my friends. I'm not seeking any new friends, but that doesn't mean I don't allow myself or give myself permission to make new friends given the circumstances and the situation. Sometimes you have to grow into friendship with me. You don't just get in, you know. It's because the wall around me is too thick. Like Dre said, he knew me for years, but they know all my stuff and my history until I shared it. Whoa, that's just how I am. Yeah. Everybody doesn't in. So I'm not searching, because it's a process to make new friends, at least for me at my age. Yeah. And if you have toxic energy, I just don't allow anybody in my life under any circumstances. Well, let me take it back, because I went through some stuff with my brother, but I really, honestly, I don't have time for it. And it may sound, you know, whatever. I don't need no new friends. I'm good.
Yeah, you sound like my sister. Y'all gotta watch the last episode with my sister, because you sound just like my sister.
Yeah, but that's not to say I give myself permission if it kind of happens organically in situations and places. Then I'm, you know, I'm good. You know, then it can happen. But other than that, I don't want to be 15 making a friendship rule list.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I know. I'm posting what Jocelyn said, you know, and this has to deal with conflict. But, you know, if you're a friend, you should be able to approach your friend and talk things out. Sometimes space and time can get you through the toughest situations. And again, to me, friendships are going to get tested. The true test of a friendship is when you can sit down and have a conversation. You may not agree, but you can sit down and have a conversation and agree to disagree and keep it moving. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Aday, and then
I was gonna say the flip side. Sometimes you also have to know when to just walk away. Like somebody can
Exactly.
piss you off, and like if something pisses me off, like I can call Dre and I could just let it out, and then I can think it through over there and just let it go. Is it worth going back to the person, even having a discussion? Just let it go. Discernment,
Yeah.
like Pat said. Sometimes we got to walk away. Doesn't mean that you've given up. It just means you made a choice. Let it
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
agree. I agree. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
On this topic, there's a book that we had to read in chaplaincy. It's called "Caring Enough to Confront"
Mm.
by David Osberger. Caring enough
Okay.
to confront. And if this person is your friend, there's a statement that I concluded. It says connecting confrontation with invitation.
Mm.
If it's your friend, there's an open invitation for you to sit down and generate a conversation with your friend, because if they're your friend, it's worth the time and the investment. There's also a quote here on page 81 which says, few situations and relationships can be reduced to a simple either or ends. Both sides must be heard and in large part respected and honored.
Mm.
So if this person is truly your friend, you are honoring them by having a conversation to reconcile. Now, what they do with it what they do with that invitation is totally up to them, and it will really validate whether or not they're a friend or not. And right there, if they're not a friend, then you just X somebody out your life.
Yeah, but then also, Jeff, I agree with you on that, but the friend also has to listen. Like you could talk to a friend, and if they are not ready to listen to you and just be open, then you're not going to get anywhere with them. So,
And Joanne, that's when you have to make a decision. In my mind, that's when you have to make a decision in terms of, okay, how valuable is this to keep going with the friendship, or do you, especially when you keep running into that over and over and over again, right? Because I protecting your peace, at this stage of my life, it's about protecting my peace.
Exactly.
And you're right about that, Michelle. You're definitely right about that. Now, it's also some in situation like that, someone has to always be the adult in the room. Someone has to be the adult in the room. Sometimes that's just a situation. Mm-hmm. That person who is your friend, that's your dear friend, you may be able to identify because you know them. They may not be in a space to talk at that time. They just may not be there. And you are honoring them by giving them that space and then revisiting that conversation. But like you said, Michelle, if you keep coming back over and over again, you're not going for it. I mean, that's the decision you have to make at that point.
Absolutely.
Because if they're your friend, it's worth the investment.
Yeah. I think. And I think that's the assessment you make. How valuable is the friendship? That's your initial. And if it's valuable, you're going to take that step to try to reconcile, right? Or have that conversation. But if it's one of those things where over and over again, you're still finding yourself doing that, at that point, you have to decide, how important is this friendship to you? Do you want to continue to maintain it? But again, like I said, at this stage of my life, it's about protecting my peace. So y'all, I'm a pivot all the way. We're gonna wrap this up, but we're gonna talk about our prayer call, right? As I mentioned, I needed to connect for me, and I was hearing so many things, so many people around me. We were going through. Let's just say it. At that point, pandemic, there was no vaccine. We were going through. We were losing people in our families, friends we lost, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, okay, how can we connect? And Ade and I, we were talking about some other things. So we did virtual stuff. And then I'm like, okay, what about us coming together for prayer? Right? Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about the last 2 years and what it's meant to you all in terms of us coming together.
Well, for me personally, it has meant so much. I look forward to every Sunday. It has inspired me to, and the scripture tells us faith comes from hearing. So just hearing other people's stories and their testimonies have definitely empowered me and uplifted me and motivated me. And it's allowed me also to really deepen my friendship with each one of you on the line. I didn't know who Adia was, and I've been able to celebrate with her son's graduation at her house. I knew Andre, go to the same church, but I really didn't know him. And this has allowed me to connect also with him in the same city and each one of you, even if it's just that Sunday. Because when like minds come together, something really does happen. And we can see it not only in ourselves, but we can see it in other individuals as well. And it's meant everything. It's added to me spiritually and personally, the
Yeah.
whole gambit.
Me too.
So,
Joanne, let me hold
oh,
on, Andre. I
go
gotta
ahead.
think. Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Joanne, and then Andre. Go
Yeah, what
ahead.
I'm saying is that it has also been a value to me because, I've all of us online, we're all Christians, we all love the Lord, we've all prayed together. Um, and just to see that side of everybody on this call, how we all really just um really honestly love and believe in God and believe in the power of prayer. The fact that we got on the call every week, bringing our prayer requests, not just for ourselves, but our families, our friends, and each other. And then we all took the time and really prayed and really sincerely prayed us through.
Yes.
That's what was, so important to me. And that's what I valued being a part of this prayer group.
Yeah. And y'all, let me just say this. You only seeing a snippet of who's on this call. We have about 20 people that join, give or take, almost every week. And I was amazed because, after the pandemic, I'm like, after things started getting back to normal, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see how many people still want to do this. And I mean, we're on it. Everybody is still connected. So, and it's transcended from us coming together for that purpose to now it's like we're wanting to learn each other. We're sharpening each other, right? Iron sharpens iron. We're really doing that with
Right.
each other. And that for me has been a blessing in that space. But I want to hear from some other people and then um wrap up this call,
Yeah.
So,
this live stream. Go
oh,
ahead.
go
Andre and
ahead.
then Pat.
Okay.
Andre.
So, I was gonna say I was in a situation one time when somebody where I was asked, what does the term "no man is an island" mean to you? And after thinking about it, I responded that it means basically that we're not here to be by ourselves. We're not here to be alone, and we are here, to support each other and to be like nobody's meant to be by themselves. And I think at that time when we started the prayer call, I think we all felt like we were on an island because we were taken away from people. We were just our circles in our own, communities and things, and we had to be in our houses by ourselves. A lot of people weren't going to work, and I think a lot of us felt like we were on an island. um, when we started this prayer call, it truly brought us together. Like, I think it gave us the necessary community that we needed, that we couldn't go out and get face to face. But in doing that, we also were strengthening our relationships with each other, with God, and meeting new friends. Jeff and I have never met in person, um, but on more than one occasion, when there was a death in my family, or something, maybe my mom had gotten sick or something like Jeff was the first person to pick up the phone and call and pray with us. And and I remember telling Jeff, I don't think he understands how much that meant to me. And I mean, I honestly look at Jeff as a big brother,
Yeah.
somebody who I truly look up to and depend on, especially for that spiritual um, feeding, because he's, you look at him and he sits back and he's so serious sometimes you don't know if he's thinking or what the deal is. But I look at him and I know that I depend on him, and it's almost like I feel safe because I feel like my brother is there and I know he got my back, and we have never met in person. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to this reunion,
Yeah.
because I think this is the first time I'm gonna get to meet Jeff in person. Same thing
Yeah.
with Monique, I think. You know what I'm saying? Pat and I were in school at the same time, Adea,
Mhm.
Claudia, Joanne. So, but the prayer call truly brought us together as a community and prevented us from being on that island by ourselves.
Mm,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
Pat.
Then I want to
No,
go after
yeah, okay. No, this call, it's truly been a blessing because, as I said, it's truly a reflection of, we said, where two or three gather in his name, he's sure to be in the midst. And I think every Sunday, I wasn't on every single Sunday, but I've been on majority. And I would say that God has shown up, and we started out praying for one another. And then it becomes like a Sunday sermon,
Mhm.
each person presents something that enlightens, that just was confirmation to, what we were going through. So I truly has said that, God is truly in the midst, and the fact that it's still going strong after over 2 years. I knew coming on, I knew Michelle, Claudia, Adair, Andre. I don't think I knew anyone else, and I kind of was gonna feel like I was going to fall off somewhat because many of the people who started that I knew, they no longer showing up. But I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
but something in my spirit said, just continue. And I'm truly glad that I remain, part of the circle.
Yeah. I truly believe I'm one that says the people who are supposed to be there have been there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Period. Go ahead, Adele.
So for me, just like the college experience, what I went in to get, I came out with something else and more. When we started this, I'm a good old Catholic girl where I go to church every Sunday. So I was missing that gap. So it was like, okay, cool, so I'm gonna be able to get on here and get my church in, type of thing. But then as it continued, it grew more. And for me, I didn't realize that I had never been a part of a prayer circle like this. Again, I'm a good old Catholic girl, never had this type of bond, the conversations, the lessons learned, and so on. And for me, it was incredible in that finding that there were other anyone who knows me knows how my faith is what has gotten me to where I am today. Like I don't play with that. I know God spoke to me from the time I was a child that He's ordered my steps. This is your path, yada 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 yada. But to be around other people who love the Lord the way that I did, and the way that I do, and not afraid and not ashamed, and don't, just let it out with no, like Jackie and I are like this. Not to say she don't love the Lord, but I'm the faith-based church going hallelujah, in our relationship. But to find and be amidst is that the word, the people who have that same joy in talking about the Lord. Now I can't quote scripture and all of that kind of stuff, but I know my testimony is a story and an example of how much I love the Lord. So the prayer call gives me that opportunity once a week to scream and shout about one. But Monique, my spirit is with you, Monique, when you scream and shout, okay?
Woo!
Because
Lord.
it just touched my spirit in a way that my friends and family and everyone just couldn't. That's why I've hung in there, because again, it just enriches and fills my spirit. And when I came into it, I was just looking like, hey, I'm going to church, I'm a church going, and I come out of it every week just being like, because you guys love the Lord the way that I do, and you recognize and you understand His power, and you just get it. And a lot of people,
Yeah.
they say they get it, but
Right.
they don't be acting like they get it. You know what I'm saying? So it feels good that even if we don't get it right, at least we trying to get it. So
Yeah.
that's how I
Yeah.
feel.
Oh, thank you,
And it's a
Adele.
great family. It's a loving family. Um, like you said, I was in the Bible study today, and it's just talking about the love, the agape love, the benevolent love, the unconditional love, just the love that we have. Like it's something. I get excited. I'm on cloud nine for the rest of the week. Like, oh, I love my
Mhm.
BACN, because it's like you said, it's something. I have memories of the things from school, but this prayer line, like you said, it has brought us through some things. And, unless we're doing something, I do. I want to run into this prayer meeting like James Brown, sliding on the stage, because that's how
You're
much
too
I
funny.
love,
Yeah.
love being on the Sunday night prayer call. It is a part of my life. It is ingrained in my heart. And like you said, I love you all secretly, and I'm trying to make everybody my best friend. Y'all can invite me to your house
Well,
but,
we're gonna have a real celebration come October for
oh
everybody
my
who's coming
gosh, I
to the
can't wait.
reunion.
I can't wait too. But
And
I'm in love with you all. I love my BACN family. I love my prayer group. I'm always telling
Love
people
you back,
put your
Monique.
name on the
Yes,
list
yeah,
yes.
because these some powerful prayer warriors. And when we pray, I know the gates of heaven are open and pouring out an abundance of healing, testimony, praise. So
yeah.
I love
And
you.
let me just say this. I don't know if anybody wanted to say anything, but I'll
Jeff
give you
had his
all.
hand up.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, one thing I learned a lot about myself because I didn't think I had all that in me.
Mm.
You know, we're taught in seminary how to put sermons together, but some of that stuff is just given to me. And a lot of times I amaze myself. Well, I'm amazed that the Holy Spirit's handing on me because I don't know. Sometimes I'm scratching my head, and sometimes the comments I make, I said, "Where did that come from?"
Mm.
Mm.
And then when someone turns around and said, "That's exactly what they needed," then I realize, oh, I do know where it came from.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It didn't come from me.
Yeah.
I'm just the spokesperson for the person who gave it to me. And the most delightful part of prayer and the prayer, well, first of all, started off as prayer and then development to sermons and prayers.
Oh yeah. Y'all have taken it to a different we taking it to a whole different level. Yeah.
And I've learned that there are a lot of preachers on this line. Now, you may not think you're pastoring or preaching and stuff. There's a lot of talent here. Not that I'm one to be able to evaluate it, but it's just something so special and important. And then when you say something, I'm sure you all can attest from this, and someone can tell you that's just what I needed. It almost brings a tear to your eye.
Yeah. And Jeff, is so funny because I was very intentional because I know, initially when we started this, there was some thoughts about, oh, we need a minister here. We need a pastor here and all that. And, I know William, minister, Earl, right, bishop. But my whole view was that each one of us has something that we can bring to the table.
Right.
And for me, it's like, all of us can contribute and we can learn from each other. And to Adaya's point, the fact that all of us are coming from different places is what's so special about it because we're just hearing different things. But let me just say this. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. And Lord knows I should have had some tissue when I got ready to start this, but I want to thank you all for being here. Many of you have been with me since I started this podcast 2 years ago. Who would have thought it would be going on 2 years, right? And even that, again, I'm the one who's living by himself. I was talking to 2 dogs, right? And even over that period, I got 1 now. But I'm like, I just needed to see some people, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I needed to so I was trying to do it in a way that for me was gonna bring some value and also be a way where we can kind of learn from each other. But I tell you, the test for me in terms of this group was on January 15th at 9:15 p.m. when I got a call about my sister that she was being rushed to the hospital. And y'all, I was trying to get her on the line, and she had somebody who came to her house because she wanted to personally thank you all for being that rock for her behind the scenes. But I remember literally falling to my knees when I got the call. They were rushing her to the hospital. She had a burst brain aneurysm. And literally, I remember Jeff calling me on my phone and my friend Mindy walking through the door. She had stopped what she was doing. Like I said, it was 9:15. And I was on my knees, but I had the 2 people beside me. And I said to myself, when you talk about the power of friendship, it's people knowing what you need and when you need it. And you guys were praying from that point on. I remember, I think one time I might have said, okay, let me post something to the prayer group because that's the group that I decided. I think I texted y'all first. I texted the leadership team first before I even texted some of my friends. I'm like, I need y'all to get on your knees right now and pray for me. Pray right now. And then the next thing I know, people were posting, people were doing stuff. But from the bottom of my heart, I thank y'all. You have been the epitome of what true friendship is about, that transcends beyond our colors, our organizations, where we live. And I could not pick a better group to celebrate my anniversary with.
Wow.
Love you all from the
Love
bottom
you
of my
back.
heart.
We love you too.
Love you,
Love you,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Love
I
you
just
too,
Love
want
you,
to
Michelle.
say,
Michelle. We love
Go
you.
ahead, Claudia.
thank God, Michelle, that you followed your heart. That you just wanted to see your friends, but you chose to do it from a spiritual place, a godly place. That's
Yes.
what kept us together. And I just want to say this prayer line does have ministers on here that don't know that they're ministers. And I
Amen.
think I said it before, it's church without walls, but
Yes.
we're covering the north, the south, the east, and the west.
Yes.
And everybody brings a different message when they bring the word.
Mhm.
I could take time now and describe each of you in different ways. I'm not going to do that. That's for the people to come on the prayer call to find out.
Amen. Look, they're gonna have a little sample of that at the reunion, Claudia. They're gonna get a little sample of that at the reunion. Yes.
We have
Yes.
people that organize the prayers, and if Michelle can't be there, they take over the reins and the helm, and they do what they got to do. Then there's
Yes.
other people who
Andre.
have a
Mwah.
spirit that can just touch
Yeah.
you deep in the soul. And then you have those others who just say the word, and it's heavy, you know it, and it is what it is because it is.
Right.
And I thank God for all of you. I think we've all grown,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
I just
Absolutely.
don't know what to say, but I always remember Adair's prayer that just took us to our childhood
Yeah.
and the gentle little things we did when we were kids. And she prayed from that place. And I was like,
Yes.
this is awesome. This is just awesome.
Yeah.
Y'all got something special in all of you. And I just thank God for all of you.
Yes. Well,
Amen.
thank you, y'all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And
And
look,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'm going to end this. This has been such a blessing to me. We getting together October 6th through the 9th in Buffalo,
That's
New
it.
York.
Yep.
Um, meet some of us meeting each other physically for the first time, although I knew all of y'all. So but being able to come together and really celebrate each other. And like I said, prayer service, we got something special there. And I want to, we're gonna feature each other because people need to see and experience what we have been experiencing for the last 2.5 years. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to put y'all in the studio. If y'all want to hang out there till I finish closing this out, that's fine. If you don't, it's okay as well. But listen, y'all, hopefully you have seen the power of friendships that has transcended for us from college to now, and what powerful relationships really mean, powerful friendships really mean. And it's being there for each other no matter what, and kind of putting down your guard, being able to trust each other and have each other's backs. And one thing I would ask of you is, are you that type of person, right? Because sometimes we look for that in other people, but we also need to think about how are we showing up as that friend as well. So thank you guys for watching. I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna do an episode in August. I think I might take a break because I've been going from January till now. So I may take a break in August, but I do have y'all know I always got something in mind. I do have something in mind that's for parents with kids. So expect to see or hear something about that coming soon. But you all have a great, great, great rest of your week. Happy Friday Eve. And you'll see me soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.